We'll start with some well-known serial killers and end with some of the most notorious and feared ones of the bunch. Robert Pickton, also known as the Pig Farmer Killer, was a Canadian serial killer who operated on his farm in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. Born in 1949, Pickton came from a family of pig farmers. His parents would constantly create a toxic environment that is believed to have molded Robert into what he would later become. He would later inherit the farm where he committed his crimes. His victims were primarily marginalized women, many of whom were sex workers and drug addicts from Vancouver's downtown east side. Pickton lured these women to his farm under the guise of offering them work or shelter before brutally murdering them. He disposed of their bodies by feeding them to his pigs, disposing of the remains in a nearby slaughterhouse, or burying them on his property. Pickton's crimes went undetected for years, despite reports of missing women from the area. He was finally arrested in February 6, 2002. Police executed a search warrant for illegal firearms at the Pickton property, which uncovered evidence linking him to the disappearances. The Pickton brothers were arrested, and police obtained a second warrant, using what they had seen on the property to search the farm as part of the BC Missing Women investigation. In 2007, Pickton was convicted of the murders of 6 women, though he is suspected of killing many more. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Ted Bundy was an American serial killer known for his charming demeanor and intelligence, which he used to lure young women to their deaths. Born Theodore Bundy in 1946, he grew up in a seemingly normal household, but showed signs of disturbing behavior from an early age. Bundy's killing spree began in the 1970s, spanning several states. He often feigned injuries or impersonated authority figures to gain the trust of his victims before incapacitating and assaulting them. Bundy's preferred method of killing varied, but he commonly used strangulation, often returning to the corpses to engage in acts of necrophilia. His charm and intelligence allowed him to evade capture for years, even representing himself in court during his trials. Bundy's final death toll is unknown, but he confessed to killing at least 30 women before he was apprehended, tried, and eventually executed in 1989. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, was an American serial killer and sex offender who terrorized Milwaukee in the late 20th century. Born in 1960, Dahmer exhibited troubling behavior from a young age, showing an obsession with dead animals and experiencing a troubled family life. His killing spree began in the late 1970s and continued until his arrest in 1991. Dahmer's victims were predominantly young men and boys whom he lured to his apartment with promises of money or alcohol. Once there, he would drug them before strangling or suffocating them. Dahmer engaged in necrophilia and dismemberment, often preserving body parts as trophies. He was finally apprehended when one of his intended victims managed to escape and alert the authorities. Dahmer was convicted of 17 murders, but is suspected of more. He was sentenced to life in prison, but was murdered by a fellow inmate in 1994. His fame led to the creation of the famous Netflix series Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story, which takes a deep dive into the life of Dahmer and is one of the sources of information that I used to make this video. John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown, was an American serial killer and sex offender who preyed on young men and boys in Cook County, Illinois, during the 1970s. Born in 1942, Gacy was active in his community, often performing as a clown at children's parties and charity events. However, beneath this facade lay a depraved individual who lured his victims to his home with the promise of employment or money. Once there, he would overpower them, often using handcuffs or chloroform, before sexually assaulting and murdering them. Gacy buried the bodies of his victims in the crawl space beneath his house or disposed of them in nearby rivers. His crimes went undetected for years until a routine police investigation uncovered evidence of his heinous acts. Gacy was eventually arrested, tried, and convicted of 33 murders, earning him multiple life sentences. He was executed by lethal injection in 1994. Thanks for watching, everyone. Sorry for taking so long to post another video. I was busy with some personal matters. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you on the next one.